Welcome to Make History Podcast. This is your boy Sean B. here with Karen Ingram of Riven Rock Ranch Resort. Let's go. Welcome to Make History Podcast. This is your boy Sean B, and we are back with another session today, and it is very, very special, very special person that's on my podcast today. It is Miss Karen Ingram. Say what's up.
Nice to see you.
No, Karen Ingram is a good friend of mine from a long time ago. Not too long, but it's been like a couple years back. But We've started out in CBC together, and people know my background with CBC, of course, you know, and being in San Antonio, I have a lot of network friends, and everybody that's been out, it's just been one of those things where we create relationships and we want to stay with relationships. And I have reached out to a lot of folks, and this woman right here is one of the people that I reached out to because I definitely want to sustain a cool relationship with Miss Karen Ingram because she is very special. One thing that that you didn't know is that I carry a lot of people in my heart because they've made a stamp in my life in some sort, and you are one of those people.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna make me cry.
It's gonna be plenty of that, but I'm just saying overall, real talk. It's been a couple of years since we've seen each other, and this is your first podcast.
It is.
So
I'm old, Sean. I'm old. Old school.
But I'm very grateful for you to be there. Also, I forgot, like, share, and subscribe to the podcast if you want to see some more content out there. Just saying, it's going to be a lot more. So, Karen Ingram.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Hi. How you doing?
All right. And this is your very first podcast, so I'm grateful, like I said, and I'm definitely letting you know that you're very special to me, as of Betsy Bueller too. She is I'm saying shout out to Betsy Bueller.
Hey, Betsy.
We come out there, even though she's doing it. David Jones, Ray Jones, all you guys out there that know Miss Karen, you know, from the jump, from the beginning. Robert Emmett. Just saying shout out to him too, and just giving a grateful shout out to you guys and love, and I love you guys forever.
Yeah,
and
great.
You're one of those people that I've seen do a lot of work in your life, and I think one of those productive things about you is that you're very consistent about everything that you do, and I've noticed things like that growing up, watching you and seeing you move. Watching you move as a business person, as a person that cares about folks, community work, just in general, you know, working with ministry in general, is very hard and very dedicating jobs to do. And I just want to know how you do it. So now I have to ask, coming from Brooklyn, New York, yes?
Uh-huh. Born and raised in Brooklyn.
You got to let me know how it all began.
Well, I moved here when I was 15, and it was like moving to a different universe,
right.
Not just a different state. I mean, New York to San Antonio in 1976 was culture shock.
Right.
But it took me a long time to get to like it here, about a year and a half before I really started to love San Antonio. And then I've just always worked. I've worked hard. I didn't go to college. It's probably one of my biggest regrets is not going. I think it's okay now, you know, more and more people, you know, because you can learn anything.
Right.
I mean, you pick up your phone and learn whatever you want to learn,
Pretty
you know.
much.
But back then it was a little bit different. But I just always worked hard. I worked my way up from job to job to job, and every job I've done 100%. We were talking about that, you know, coming in early, staying late, doing what I need to do, treating the companies that I worked for like they were mine, spending money carefully, you know, and using resources carefully. And it's just been a long road. I mean, I started working when I was, well, even before then, but officially when I was 15.
Wow.
a job in an ice cream parlor. And then I worked at the Limited.
Yeah.
And then from there, it just, I've always worked, always, all through high school and then since then.
So I want to know the drive. So how did you get all that drive just to even get to that status?
I don't know. I always enjoyed every job I had, even in the ice cream parlor and the Limited. I was working in the ice cream parlor. This is in the 70s, right? In Windsor Park Mall, O'Bannon's ice cream parlor. And
shout out O'Bannon.
They're not there anymore.
They may not be there.
It was so good. It was good ice cream. And they started working on the Limited in the mall. And I knew I was going to like it because it was like more kind of it was hip in New York. It was like, oh my gosh, and I've got to work here. So I started going there, and I would peek my head in every now and then, construction and all of that. And I finally hooked up with the manager, and I told the manager I wanted to work there. And she said, well, how old are you? I said, 15. She said, I can't hire you till you're 16. Right. And I went in almost every day to check on this place, and I kept hounding her. I want to work here. Can I work in the stock room? Can I?
Right.
She was like, nope. And the day I turned 16, I went back and I said, I turned 16 today. She goes, I'm so sick of you, I'm hiring you. And she did, and that was kind of the impetus. And I just always worked hard. And
it's the drive. That's the drive.
Yeah, I don't know. People don't have that anymore, right?
Well, yeah, I don't see very much
you
of
do.
That. Well, yeah, I'm going to try to pursue as much as I can.
You do.
So I look at it in a way where it's like, man, how do I do that? How do I get there? And this is one of the reasons why I started this Make History podcast, because I want to give people the blueprint of successful people. Now, you have a big, enormous ranch.
I do. Who would have thought that a girl from Brooklyn would buy a ranch?
In Texas.
What was she thinking?
In Texas.
Comfort,
Texas.
Yeah, Comfort, Texas.
Now, the name of the ranch is
Riven, Riven, not River, Riven Rock Ranch.
Riven Rock Ranch.
Rock Ranch.
I know for sure it's like Riven Rock Ranch. I was thinking about the name, and I was like, how did you get the name?
The name came with the ranch. The idea behind it, my impetus for buying the ranch was I want to help girls in crisis pregnancy. So it was actually an idea I had for CBC.
Right.
Back, 20 years ago, 15 years ago.
Right.
And thought it was for CBC,
Correct.
but it wasn't. It was for me. And so the name came with it. I really wanted to call it Hope Ranch, but Hope Ranch is a doomsday ranch in West Texas, and the name was taken. The LLC was taken, and so I couldn't use it.
Right.
So now I use Hope Realized.
Hope Realized.
Hope Realized is
okay.
I had it. I literally had to throw it together the week I bought the ranch.
So what,
to get the LP and the LLC and all of that all figured out.
Why the interest in young ladies and young women?
I've always had a heart for people who didn't have support or advantages, or mostly support and advantages. But I was on the board of a nonprofit called Urban Connection, and the lady that ran that was Leslie Grubbs, who is one of my heroes to this day.
Shout out Leslie.
Leslie, she's just she is an amazing human being, and she was the executive director of Urban Connection, and I was on the board, and operated out of Lincoln Heights Courts, which is in one of the poorest zip codes in San Antonio. Mm-hmm. And I quickly realized that there were a lot of single moms in there, and they were in cycles of poverty, abuse, trauma, out of wedlock birth, and abortion. And it's all they knew. They didn't realize it was all they knew, but it was, they were kind of stuck. Right. They had no hope. And so that's how the idea was birthed, was thinking about what are we going to do to help these women? You want to overturn Roe v. Wade, and you want to do this, and you want to do that, but what are you doing practically to help people who find themselves in trouble without support?
Gotcha.
And so that's kind of how it birthed, and the idea was for CBC, and then years later it morphed into what I'm doing now. And so there's so many operations on the ranch that
Yeah.
what we'll do is once everything's up and running, and I bought the ranch and then COVID hit, and then we
Right.
had Snowmageddon and this and that, and then the stables closed and the stables are now reopened. It's just back and forth.
Right.
And it just obstacles.
Right.
Right. And
Obstacles.
so you just kind of keep
Yeah.
pushing through,
Yeah.
and kind of keep going and doing. But there's so many different things on the ranch because we have 2 event venues.
Okay.
We have a restaurant,
Okay.
stables.
Okay.
There's an art studio, gardens, hay fields. What else do I got? I got a lot.
A lot.
Oh, vacation rentals.
Right.
There's 6 vacation rentals on the ranch. So there's going to be something there
For someone.
to spark their interest, whether it's creating art and selling it in the gift shop, or working in the restaurant, or working at the stables, or working with events, or whatever. There's going to be something that's going to ignite a passion in these girls. We'll teach them a job or a skill on the ranch, and then hopefully they'll be able to take that with them and change their lives.
Yeah, I think that's so awesome though, because it's a community thing in general, and you're teaching people life skills.
Right.
And so developing those, even if you've never been in a situation to where you had vision, I think is huge. I think because even for young men in general and women that grew up in a certain area of life, and we are still trying to find ourselves and trying to just scrape and strive to survive, we need people like in our corner.
Yep.
And to be able to give them the blueprint in order to live.
Yes.
And it's not a simple thing to do. It's one of those things that is necessary.
Yeah.
And I love that about you. That you're able to do that. So how did you learn the business skills that you're currently doing?
I just think throughout the years, I've just gleaned things from every job that I've done. I've learned
Wow.
something new. You can, and even through trials, to every trial, there's a lesson. You can either choose to take that lesson and learn and grow, or you can become bitter and,
Right.
flounder. And that it doesn't
Right.
do anybody any good.
Right.
So I've just always done that. My job at US Long Distance, which was life-changing, shout out to all my USLD people. It's no longer there. It got bought
Right.
out by LCI, and I think LCI got bought out by something else. It's just kind of, it was a telecom company back
Right.
in the late 80s and the 90s is when I worked there. And I was the director of marketing, and so I had a budget, and so I had to plan for that and bills, and there were just so many different skills that I learned,
On the job.
But back when I went to high school, there was home ec, and there was shop, and there was
Right.
you learned things. You learned how to balance a checkbook, and those kind of things. They don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Well, people don't balance their checkbooks
Yeah,
anymore.
because it's a computer.
Everything's, yeah.
So everything is on
Digital.
digital and on a computer, and learning social media and marketing. So you're a part of marketing as well. So, and as far as like marketing piece, so how did you get the ranch to be so popular? And what's so popular?
Well, and that was another reason why I kept the name, is because the ranch had a presence in the community and even beyond the community. People knew, because there used to be a restaurant called Terrace Grill there. First of all, gotta thank the gentleman that developed the ranch. His name is Chris Havens, and he is an absolute genius. I mean, this place is unbelievable. And he spent 10 years. He put his heart and soul into it, and it shows. I mean, the detail, the attention to detail.
Right.
And he's still around. He's in Comfort. I can call him when I have a question about something.
Awesome.
He's just an incredible human being. He's just been so helpful. And I literally thank God for him every day, because he's created this beautiful place. I'm sorry, where was I going with all that?
Comfort, the beautifulness.
Comfort.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just an incredible place. And Comfort is just a nice little community.
Yeah.
And but no, there was something else we were going. I was going in one. See, squirrel.
No,
I told
it's all
you.
good.
I told you I went off.
It's fine.
Can't remember why, but I can't remember what the question was. It was
Well,
something
it was.
about.
I was wondering about the atmosphere of Comfort, like how beautiful it is, and just relaxing and things.
Yes.
And so I was just.
It really is. I mean,
listening.
people. When I first went to see the ranch, I only went there to get ideas. I didn't go there with the idea that I was going to buy this place.
Right.
And I literally, when I pulled through the gates, I knew it was it. I knew it was where I wanted to put Hope Ranch. Still didn't know at that point that I couldn't use Hope Ranch, but that's what I wanted.
Right.
And then it's just an amazing, it's just beautiful. I mean, Chris Havens, like I said, he did just an incredible, but the views and the peace that you feel. I mean, everybody that comes there, you just kind of feel like you're disconnected from the rest of the world.
What goes into a process of trying to find a place like a ranch, or trying to find land or buy land? What are some processes that you have to think through in order to be able to get something like that?
Well, for me, when originally we were just looking for raw land.
Okay.
And we were going to build things in phases over several years and not get too far into debt. And that was the main purpose of it. And we started looking. I just wanted 50 acres in the hill country with some kind of water on it, whether it was a stream or a pond or a tank or whatever.
Right.
I just wanted water. I wanted living water.
Right.
On there. And so we looked and looked and looked for several years. And then a friend of mine, Brian Bribel, another shout out there. Brian, this ranch came to his attention and he said, "Hey, it sounds like it would be a good fit for Hope Ranch." And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" And he said, "Well, it sounds like it already has everything you want." And I said, "Yeah, if it already has everything I want, it's going to be too much money. What are you talking about?" And so he's like, "Oh, well, you don't want to go see it?" And I was like, "No, let's go see it. It'll give us some ideas for what we want to do." And he and I were going to be partners in this. And then it ended up, he had like 5 big projects going on and he couldn't do it. I pulled in, knew I wanted it, and it just kind of went from there. I made an offer. The offer was rejected, and I was in the process of making another offer, and somebody came in and bought it out from under me. And they had it for a year, and then a year later I bought it from them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
So it was kind of crazy. So there is tons to think about, because you think about infrastructure, utilities, and I'm in the country.
Right.
So we've got wells and we have septic. I have 11 septic
Thanks.
units. I have 3 wells. It's just insane. The infrastructure alone, the road system and the rock work, and it's just crazy. And there's 24 buildings on the ranch.
Wow.
I have 90 acres of hay fields. I mean, it's crazy.
And you have
I don't know what I was thinking.
I'm just thinking, yeah. But I mean, it sounds like a project. So you're the project manager of this thing, but at the same time, you have help.
Yes.
So you have plenty of help, and you have people to be able to handle the things that you need to be handled there. So
yes.
I mean,
initially my dad helped a lot. He was basically my ranch manager, and he was a plumber by trade, and so he was able to really kind of not just help me with the ranch as a whole, but plumbing issues.
Yeah.
He was able to help with that, and he was there 2.5 years, and he passed away. And his presence is still looming large on the ranch. Everybody loved Tony. My dad's name was Tony. Tony Fontana, and Tony Fontana, not Tony Montana, but and he did an amazing. I couldn't have done it without him. And then now we just have great partners. So I have a great plumbing company, plumbing Bros,
right,
out of Bernie, and my well company, Map Well Company, and Sterling Electric, and Total HVAC and Comfort. They're all, I mean, when I need something, they come, and it's just, I wouldn't have been able to do any of this without them, because things break.
They
you
do.
got a lot of stuff.
A
lot of stuff breaks.
Yeah, I was just thinking about the upkeep of how all of this stuff like happens, especially with the size of the ranch. And so it's just being on a ranch like that. I know I need to visit it for sure.
You do.
And that is a goal of mine, like to get out there. But I know I've heard of it for many of years, and everybody always brags about you and everything. And so I think I had to get her on here and make it happen.
Yeah.
And talk about the ranch, because it's like, it's really cool, and it's relaxing, and it's one of those things where you just want to kind of like, if you have all these stressors that's going on in your world, this is probably one of the places to come out and relax and just forget about the everyday things of life, and just kind of just bask in and the presence
and the glory and the
glory
presence of God.
What's going on?
Absolutely.
Yes, and so that's what I love about that. Also, too, I want to ask you, because there's a lot of young business owners that are out there now that are trying to make it, in those areas, and being a business owner, what would you advise those guys to see themselves in the future, to try to see if they can, whether buying a lot plan or trying to buy a building, or what would you advise those young guys?
Well, I've got nieces and nephews, and so and I have a son now. He's 21 years old, and so I always tell them, whatever you think you want to do, go work in that field. Start at the bottom and work your way up, because then you're going to know as much as you can know about that business from the ground up. Right. I used to say all the time when I worked at USLD, the guys in the mailroom, nothing's happening without those people.
Right.
But you don't think about them. Right. They're just there. They do their jobs and they're there, and so you just have to, whatever you think you want to do, you may not really want to do it once you get in it. I always thought I wanted to be a lawyer when I was younger, and I worked for a lawyer for about a year and a half. And towards the end, I realized that's not what I want to do. No. So I think you just take a job in the mailroom of a big company that you think, Merrill Lynch or whatever you think you want to do.
Right.
Take that low job, work your way up. Same thing with, McDonald's. I mean, it's a restaurant.
Right.
You can get a job at McDonald's.
Right.
It may not be, you're not making a lot of money, but you're going to learn some stuff.
Right. So just start from the bottom.
And then work your way up.
So, and I know that you were saying that it's a consistency now, because nowadays, we want to start from the top.
Yep.
So easily, because a lot of jobs isn't nowadays. I want to say now that we can get a job on YouTube, or we can get a job with the social media and make it really quick fix, because you don't make as much as you would like to make, starting from, a McDonald's job or such. But I think, for 18-year-old, 17-year-old, 16, moving up into just trying to figure out what you're trying to do. I think also, myself, including myself, being a cashier is one of those things that I decided to do. But pushing forward, I always looked up to like business prospects of different areas of that job, because being a CEO or trying to be in an entrepreneurship or any of those things matter to me, but you have to have a certain mentality in order to get there. So now, since we're in that mentality conversation, the mentality of being a business owner right now, how would you speak to the people that are trying to get at that mentality of where you are now, and what does it take to get there?
I think you can't have a "that's not my job" attitude. I think people today have a "that's not my job, I ain't doing it."
Right.
They just coast along, they do the bare minimum, and that's it. And then they expect to be rewarded for that. That's not the way the world works.
Right.
When I worked at U.S. Long Distance, I started as a secretary. And then I was an they call it an administrative assistant. So It's a step up, but you're still a secretary.
Right.
But even when I did that, I always did something else. So I was assistant to the president of the company, and I did travel. I booked travel, and I helped with investor relations, and I was also assistant to the CFO. Not all at the same time, but I always had 2 or 3 roles that I was doing all at the same time. So you learn stuff when you're doing that. You're going to learn. I worked for the CFO. I didn't really know anything about finance, but I learned a little bit because those documents were coming across my desk.
Right.
So with travel, I learned about travel. I learned about investor relations. I was an assistant. I was an admin.
Right.
But I learned those things, and then
how to book, things like that.
Right. And I always did 2 or 3 things. I didn't say that's not my job. I'm his assistant. I'm not doing that.
Right.
Because I could have.
Right.
But I didn't.
Right.
And so I learned all these different skills, and you just kind of
step out of your comfort zone.
You got to step out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And take on more work and work a little bit longer and work a little bit harder. I was the first one there in the morning, and I was one of the last people to leave at night. I mean, even when I did CBC, they had to throw me out of there at 11 o'clock at night because I was decorating for Christmas.
I know.
Karen, we want to go home. And so, and that's the way you've got it. That's the way you got to do it. And it's not going to pay off right away. I mean, it took me years. I mean, I worked at U.S. Long Distance for years and created wealth from that because we had stock options and that kind of thing. And so that's where I built a little bit of my wealth. And that was in the 80s and 90s.
Right.
And then, I was married, and so we had wealth and investments and all that kind of stuff. And so I was just able, it took a long time. I mean, I was 58 when I bought the ranch.
Wow.
I wasn't 22.
Gotcha.
I was 58. I've been through some stuff.
Right.
Experience. And so experience,
Mm-hmm.
So it's okay that you don't realize your dream when you're 25 or 30 years old. Because I appreciate it a lot more.
Nice. Well, did you want to shout out your social media or anything like that?
Where
or website? How about the website?
Riven Rock Ranch is on. We are on Facebook and Instagram. Riven Rock Ranch Resort, I think, on Instagram. Website is rivenrockranch.com.
Yes, and also
it's pretty easy.
It'll be a part of the YouTube page as well. I'll have it out there as much as possible. You'll see the Riven Rock Ranch logo and everything that has to do with social media.
One other thing I forgot to talk about was La Calabria Pizzeria.
Oh.
So that's on the ranch. Another partner. They're fabulous people, Keith and Kelly Mackay, and their son Cole, and they run the restaurant. I don't run the restaurant. I just eat at it.
Right.
But it's fabulous.
Right.
I mean, it's really, really good. And they've been with me since the grand opening.
Nice.
They did a little pop-up initially for the grand opening, and then they did some pop-ups beforehand. And now they've been on the ranch for about 4 years steadily. And they're open on the week. They're open on Thursdays and Fridays for dinner, and Saturday all day. And it's some of the best pizza you'll ever have.
You heard it. You heard it here on Make History Podcast. Y'all go out there and go check out the ranch so you can relax. We'll be back next episode. Thank you.